Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for November 1st through the 7th, 2021. So, before we begin, I'd just like to welcome everyone back this week and welcome anyone who is also new to the Angel School community and the channel. So if you're watching this video on my channel for the first time, just a few things just to make you aware of. First of all, I will be publishing the monthly angel reading for November 2021, and probably within the next day or so. So be on the lookout for that information for the month. That will be followed by the 12 monthly angel scope readings, which are 12 readings for each zodiac sign. So that'll come out later towards the end of the week. So give you a chance to watch that monthly video first. And also, I've been offering, since the pandemic began, a special offer reading of my half-hour reading for $77, and I've extended it for 1 full hour. Okay, so if you would like to get an angel reading with me, you can go to my webpage, theangelschool.com/services, and on that page you will see the half-hour reading as it's normally written. You can go ahead and select that, and within 24 hours I will send you, on the first business day, I will send you a confirmation email noting that special offer. Okay, and all the instructions you need will be there for you to submit your availability for your angel reading. I will usually indicate a starting date and ask that you just give me information of your schedule for the 3 weeks after that date. And if you don't have a lot of time, then give me more, so that when I sit down and meditate in the order that I get them, the requests for readings, I sit down with the angels and meditate about on the right date and time for our session. Okay? All right. So let's begin now. And I always like for us to center by taking a deep breath and to focus on your heart center. As this is when our hearts are open, then our intuition and the clarity of our mind all comes into a higher perspective. So let's take a deep breath together. And just allow yourself to be aware of any thoughts and worries that are coming up. And I'm just getting a sense of Jesus coming through. So he's writing his name. And when I see teeth in my symbolism, this is about criticism. And they're giving me a sense of, they wrote word team, as in the sense for me was teaming up on you. You're feeling either that you're being criticized a lot, as if it feels like people are just teaming up against you, the world is against you, maybe. And this is also really about what's going on inside of us. So we are highlighting too much of what's going wrong and not noticing the I was going to say what's going right, but what it's really about when you notice, and I can tell you this from my experience from my voice practice, because I was so critical while I was practicing, and it was just self-defeating. And what my voice teacher suggested for me was to notice. And when I started to notice, when something went wrong, I began to notice the connection between my body and my mind. and how they were off sync and in what ways they were out of sync with each other. And when I started to notice, I started to be able to imagine what that um, synchronicity or that connection um, was meant to be. And so instead of criticizing, we have to notice. And when you start doing this, then you feel as though you are in your own power. You don't feel as much as a victim, and you're aware of the signals of alignment and healing, opportunity, and support that are there. And so this makes you feel like you're more in control and that the world is really not against you. And you start adapting, that they're writing, a mindset of success. And so when I practice, I always now feel very successful, no matter if I make mistakes or make mistakes I've made before, because I'm also, through that noticing, I'm creating the successful alignment. And so that it's been progressing so much over the years. Now it's a pleasure to learn from myself and a pleasure to also be able to sing. So, be aware of this technique. And over time, you will really start to pay attention to what you need rather than what you're not getting. And this is a huge influence on our ability to, well, this is what influences that focus on lack, the criticism. But what the source to healing that is to notice more. And notice is a neutral place. You're not judging, you're not drawing conclusions. And see, when you notice, when you decide, train yourself to notice, you don't draw conclusions. That what they do, when you do that, it's like taking, wiping your hand across something that was there just because you don't want to see it and erasing it. And so you're left with your negative perspective, or you're left with this, what's lacking, or this error. And so try noticing. And when you notice, you're in a neutral position, and what you're doing is you're paying attention to what's happening. If it's within yourself, your body and your mind, and others, notice what's going on in their body and their mind when they're doing what they're doing, because there's information there for you to see, and you might become aware that there's a trigger to that you're connected to because you do it as well. And when you see it in other people, it annoys you for that reason because you're not getting it. It's like when people, so what I'm getting from them is that when people annoy you, it's because there's a signal that you're ignoring. There's an opportunity, a signal of healing that you're ignoring within yourself. And it's irritating you because your soul wants you to get it. They want you to see it, and you read it as a resistance and an irritation. But the soul is trying to help you to see that missing link that would really allow you to feel more successful and more fulfilled in your life. Okay, so they're showing me a goal, like in a football field, like the goal. So, and this is telling me that in this week that you have some important goals that you're focused upon and that you're trying to achieve. And they write the word manifest as I said that. So, it's about how you get there. So what I'm getting a sense from them is it's going to manifest, but the way that you're getting there, do you want to manifest that? And they're showing me, when they show me a phallic symbol, this, when it's erect, it's telling me that that's going to manifest very well. When it's not, it's telling me that you're not really into it. And the reason you might not be into it is because of the way you're approaching the assignment, the goal. You're not finding fulfillment in what you're doing because of this criticism, the way your process. And so your process needs to be more supportive. And noticing will help you to be more supportive, because when you notice, when you listen, you are open to more ideas, whether they come from, they're inspired to you, or they are inspired from within, or the people that are around you. And and mistakes can be inspiring. They can teach you a lot, and they can fast track their writing. And inform is what the word they just wrote. So they're writing oxygen. They want you to breathe this week. They really want you to breathe often, and they want you to know that you're safe. And so when you breathe, you slow everything down for you. And it reminds you that when you breathe, it reminds you that this situation is within your control if you're willing. If you're willing. And when you breathe, inspire, it's like it's the intake of spirit. And spirit is really information. It's spiritual data, spiritual wisdom, spiritual guidance. And when we don't feel safe, it's because we've cut ourselves off from our own intuition, our own instincts. And that can happen. That's why we doubt, because we criticize. So if we notice, then we can have access to all of this. This is the writing superpower. This is your superpower. So your instincts and your intuition, that's your superpower. But if you don't breathe, if you don't feel safe, or if you're feeling confused, that's a sign not to irritate you, but to sort of highlight that the process, that the approach to your process is not working for you. You're disconnecting yourself from your instincts and your intuition. And those things come out of your experience, your skill, and your natural gifts and talents. All that is integrated. And the only way you can really be, and it's complete, they write, and the only way you can really be in touch with that is that you have to remember to breathe. It's a way of slowing down and reminding yourself that this situation is in your control if you're willing. If you're willing to see the answers, to see the opportunities around you. Okay. So it's a very rainy, dark morning, and the lighting keeps changing. So hopefully you can still see. So they're showing me sort of like the hangman, like the game we play where you draw that. And that tells me that some of you might be experiencing delays. But the hangman's experience is to help you to find new perspective. That you really need to slow down. It's a slowing down that the universe gives you for your own good, right? So that you're not creating outside of your true power. And to remember that your power is in your ability to choose. But the way that we make those choices is what's important. And sometimes we're so frantic about, the choice or the solution, that we're not as concerned about the frame of mind that we need to be in, and that you deserve to be in, to make the best decisions for yourself. It's almost, this is weird, but you know, because that frame of mind is like a structure, like a house, and um, you gotta have you gotta have that shelter for yourself. You just can't be, it's almost like going through life and not establishing a shelter, a place, a home where you live and where you can rest, and all the things that a home does for us, right? If we didn't have them and without them, the conditions of our lives would be extremely difficult. And so it's this, I don't mean to be insensitive in using that example in any way, but it's just what came to me in terms of that we have to understand that we need to make sure that we're always in the right mental environment, that our mental shelter is conducive and supportive for the pressures that we're experiencing at different points in our lives. And that we often forget to establish that mental frame or shelter before we make choices for ourselves. And so if you're outside of your healthy mental state, then you're just going to create more drama and chaos. And the way that you express yourself may not be as clear and articulate or appropriate as it would need to be in order for things to resolve harmoniously. All right, so let's take a look at the message from the archangels for this week, the archangel card. And this feels really right. Gifts from God, and I just get this feeling, and this is Archangel Sandalphon. So this is the archangel that we'll be working with in this week. And the thing that you can do with Archangel Sandalphon is you can call upon him to do two things for you. One, you can ask him he's in charge of your Earth Star Chakra, which is in its different manifestations of evolution in terms of your ascension process, rather. It can either start off as white and black, like just sort of like almost like a half moon, or it might evolve if you're a little bit further along in your ascension process into gray, and at its highest frequency, it's silver. So Archangel Sandalphon, you can call upon him to touch and light up that chakra with the ascension flame. And then you can ask him to tune your energy, all right, to tune you to the notes of your divine blueprint, so that you're in alignment with where you need to be and all the things that are in alignment with your divine blueprint at this time, because that blueprint is what you're trying to fulfill. And then you can also ask him to place his silver reflective fifth dimensional bubble around all 12 of your ascension chakras, your fifth dimensional chakras, which are different colors from the third dimension. And of course, this will ground you in your connection to the earth, so you can really be here, fully present, and boost your faith in the missions that you have and the goals that you have, and so that you can really connect to those goals through that inspiration. All right, divine inspiration. So this week, they want you to really honor your gifts. Honor the gifts that come to you from God. And the gifts from God are the gifts that have developed and have been with you, through every lifetime. And they want you to focus on them. And some people will say, well, I don't really have any talent because I don't play music. We look for the obvious things. And sometimes a talent could be that you have a way with people, or that you draw crowds to you, or that when you speak, people want to listen. They want to hear what you have to say. You have to notice these kind of talents that maybe be a little bit more nuanced, not as sort of clear to you because you're thinking about a skill. But be aware of all of your gifts and how some of these gifts work together. But this week, to honor your gifts. So they don't want you to criticize your gifts, because what you do is that it's deconstructive, and it just deflates the power, your natural powers that you have in these gifts. So be aware, notice. When you feel that critical or you feel inadequate, notice. Instead of just criticizing, notice. It says, we angels bring you gifts from your Creator. Open your arms to receive. And I also get a sense that you might find in this week that they expand. And so that's why you don't want to be afraid of an opportunity that might come up for you this week, or be afraid of the goal if the standards are, or if somehow the goal is elevated to a higher standard, and that means that there's something more that you have to do. That challenge to you is an opportunity for you to allow your potential to vastly increase. And if not for that challenge, it would not be possible. And know that it is done purposefully, as if it were a teacher creating an exam. A teacher doesn't create an exam to cause the students to fail, but to bring out their potential and to prepare them, right? That's the purpose of the test. So in the same way, your angels, your guides, create these kinds of tests for you for the purpose of helping you to improve. Because there comes a point when we, start to not expect much from ourselves, and we go to a point of complacency. But the greater point is that we stop expecting because we stop believing in ourselves. And they help us keep us on our toes by reminding us that there's so much more within us. And so it's kind of frustrating sometimes in life, like when you feel like you finally arrive somewhere and then boom, something else happens. And that occurs because there's more in you. The potential is always amassing as you are developing, as you are working through things. And so you accumulate more. And it comes to you because it's for you to use. And if something else didn't happen, then that potential would never be realized. And you could never really know the fulfillment that is possible for you. They wrote earlier the word joy. And so that's the ultimate goal out of these kinds of tests, that you know more joy, that you have more fulfillment. And as you can see from, our, what do they call it? Retail therapy that goes on in this, this world today. I mean, we're consumers. And we do that because we're trying to find that, we're trying to fill in those moments where it seems like there's a potential that nothing else is there. And then the universe creates a situation to prove to you that there's a lot there. There's a lot there for you to live for. But most of the times, and sometimes, in certain cases, certain people, certain personalities, we take it the wrong way. We take it like a hit. We take life as an assault on us. And that's why it is said, you've heard it said often when the angels said it to me first, it's not happening to you, but it's happening because of you. And so everything that is happening to you is happening for you to bring out the best in you. So be open to the gifts that are unfolding, even if they come with what might feel like to you at a cost. Now, when this card comes up, the Lover's card, and after talking about something like this, to me, this card is just much more than two people finding each other. This is also a card about that. The words coming, but it's that it's about the soul finding itself. The original idea of the soulmate is that that we get, that we're finding that other aspect of ourselves, that higher part of ourselves, that soul marriage, and that fulfillment when we're reunited with our higher self. We find fulfillment, we find purpose in everything, and through intention setting, you can clarify that soul potential, that soul connection in your life. And so this, tells me also, when this card has come up for me, it's come up at times when I've found that purpose in my life, when I found what it is, the thing that I'm passionate about, and that I feel connected within myself when I'm doing that. And so again, this is letting you know that whatever goal is in front of you, that this is meant to be. It's kismet. It's meant to be. All right. And whether you struggle with it or not, it's still meant to be. And so try to find a way to criticize less and to notice more, so that you can really grow from the experience. They reminded me to tell you, as it's showing you my symbol for vulnerability, which is a naked behind, go figure. But they reminded me, in love or anything, that you have to be vulnerable in order to find trust. In order to really develop trust, to find trustworthy people, you have to be vulnerable. And most times we put up walls. The ego puts up those walls to protect itself because it's afraid of growing, it's afraid of being hurt, it's afraid of making mistakes and being wrong. It has pride. The ego is prideful. And in order to really find love in terms of a person, in order to find something that you are passionate about and that you love, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. You have to push through your fears, because the insanity that you're imagining, well, if I risk it all, that's insanity. But that's your ego's definition of insanity, not your higher self's. Okay, and when you get past that wall of fear, that the illusions that, because they've been drawn, the conclusions that have been drawn by your ego, the conclusions that have been drawn by your ego, when you get past that mirage, you will see how vast the opportunities are, and you'll see that you are more than deserving of this, and it is less of a mess than you had anticipated or perceived through the lens of your ego. Okay? All right, let's take a look at the card for the middle of the week. The Emperor. And this is giving me a sense of stability, and we have two major arcana cards here. Okay? And we've been talking about how to really regain your sense of power through letting go of the criticism and noticing. And you can see that our Emperor, he's just looking straight at us. and holding the symbols of authority. You shape your own world, your own reality. And the wand is this another symbol of that authority and the power to sort of make it happen, right? It's like the wand, the magician's wand. But and so it's all within your grasp to craft, but you have to, they were talking about earlier about the list, or I don't know if but you have to start making things concrete. And, I'm not going to go into this again, but the intention setting is a way to start with this abstract feeling and to begin to formulate the concrete content of this reality. And then as you move through that process, as I talked about, general intention, because that's the soul's food. And then what would that look like in your life? Now you're starting to then take that lens and shine it onto the reality and envision it. And then you get more specific into different situations. What would that look like in that if that situation played out and that was the intention? And then you're aware of your pitfalls. And once you do this, you can get beyond the illusions that the ego throws out, and you can really start to take steps to push past that mirage. And by planning or creating an outline and then really getting more detailed, you start to know where you're going and why you're going where you're going, and your desire, your desire to want to and to be fearless about it. That your courage develops, the word I'm looking for, as you have more assurance. But you'll feel less of the anxiety once you have a map. Okay? Let's take a look at the card for the end of the week. And this is the 8 of Cups. So this is a card about, this is another card I find too, that, you're leaving something because your soul is calling, your heart is calling you elsewhere. And they wrote the word surgery. So I feel like, it requires a little bit of a surgery on ourselves to be able to find the acceptance for the change that our heart is presenting to us. We don't just go readily, do we? We fight. And what we've been discussing is sort of like the surgery, that whole process of noticing. That's a surgery on a behavior or pattern that you've been cycling over and over in your life, bringing you results that have not been favorable. And so in order to do that, you have to do some inner work. But, it's simply about following your heart and not being afraid to move on. And I think this card also shows that, and especially in a traditional card, you see this person, it looks like it's hard for them to move on. The mountains that are there, so they give you this sense in the nighttime setting, and the moon setting that's there. It gives you this sense, like, the mountains for me is like, and all the rockiness to cross the path. It shows like, risks and heights that one might have to reach that might be unattainable, and you have no idea what you're actually going after, and the journey is going to be hard to climb, right? So that gives us all that sense of what's stacked up against us, and that's usually probably why the cards are stacked up in that really difficult way of trying to make a pyramid, with those glasses. And it's precarious, right? Because the glasses could break, and it's precarious too to put it together, because you might not be able to do it successfully. So yeah, this card shows the understanding that there's so much that we feel like we're risking when we follow our hearts. It's scary. But whether you achieve what you think you're going to achieve or not, it is worth it. And as the next card, the Nine of Cups, shows the fulfillment, the rewards. Wishes come true when we follow our heart. And wishes come true because we have to do the work. We have to follow through in order for those things to unfold. But this is telling me with these cards here that this is something that's really that you're passionate about. It's dear and near to your heart. That this is not some hobby, or I can't think of the word, but I'm sure you can hear it in my head. You're not wasting your energy. You're not wasting your time. It's basically what we're trying to say here. And so in this week, trust in your gifts, believe and follow what you're being inspired to do. And yes, it's going to come with a lot of challenges, because that's just what life is. Those tests that, oh my goodness, that help us to grow. You will not believe that because I don't look at the cards, I had it turned over up, and it's the Hangman, and I was seeing it earlier. So remember, those tests are there for a reason. And it's like the Hangman, it's like you need a get out of jail card, right? I need to get out of jail. And so it's sort of like, yeah, you're there to why can't I think of the words? What is wrong with me? The words today. The idea of someone being incarcerated or something, is to rehabilitate. And so this week, you're going to be rehabilitating your negative processes, right? And so if you feel like you're getting stuck or you're delayed, look at your approach. And they're right out in front of me. They want you to ask this question. And I think this is the one intention that they definitely want you to work on this week, is being supportive. So if you experience delays in this week, ask yourself, am I being supportive enough? Is my criticism really valid? Is it constructive? Is it supportive? They want you to take time to breathe, the right oxygen, and the right contemplate. So they want you to breathe, contemplate, and then see what ideas and solutions come to you. See what you might notice when you replay. Notice, and when you replay something in your mind, I want you to notice the connections in your body and your mind. If certain triggers or pains come up in the body, notice it. Don't criticize it. Don't try to go into I got to work on it mode. You are working on something when you notice. You are not working when you're trying to get rid of it. And a lot of us as healers think, I got a pain, I got to get rid of it. I got to meditate it away, or I got to take, medicine. Obviously, if you have pain, you should get medical help. Never advising someone against that. Never. However, when you're having a situation, and then all of a sudden, tell you to notice and observe rather than criticize, and then you start to experience pain as a result of your awareness, your contemplation. Yes, now I'm telling you to not try to get rid of the pain or the sensation that your body is showing you, but to be aware and notice and get the information. There's wisdom, there's a lesson, a thought might occur that has nothing to do with your body, but that thought is so clarifying that it sets you in the right, on the right path, in the right direction in terms of the approach. So this is your intention this week, to be supportive to yourself in all situations, to look for support, others who are supportive. So you need to first say, okay, supportive support is my intention this week. And then what would that look like in areas of your life? In romance, do you feel supported? In your work environment, do you feel supported? Are you supportive of others? Goes both ways, right? And then for a particular situation, and but before you enter it, say you want to focus on this intention of support, and kind of get a sense of what that would look like in that situation, and what's your goal, what's your end game with that intention, so that as the situation unfolds, you will be aware. See, once you set an intention, it's like setting a dial, and then all the signals that will be cast around you in your environment will be of that support. And therefore, you'll be readily able to, recognize these signals of support and recognize when they are not. And this is when you will be able to make healthy choices for yourself around an intention. And you'll be able to support the navigation that you're being guided to create this supportive outcome. Whereas without an intention, what we do, we fall prey to all the signals that are sort of bombarding us. And when they're bombarding us, it's because we don't have a clear intention for our focus in that event. And that's what makes us our anxiety, or to feel overwhelmed, or that responsibility is too much. Yes, because it's too many signals. There's no focus. So try this week, especially as it pertains to your own gifts and your talents and your abilities. All right, so I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and have a beautiful week. God bless you.